We're live. Welcome to
Hello.
welcome to episode 7 of the Arksy Harder Show. Today we have the head dev of Nova, Arizona. Arizona dev. How are you doing?
Not too bad. How are you?
I'm good. You got a little bit of feedback on your end, but that's fine. Um, so why don't you tell us a little bit about Nova, Arizona?
Sure. Arizona is a content expansion mod focused on the Legion lands that were supposed to be built on by Obsidian in New Vegas, and they didn't have time for it. However many years later, the community has decided to do it for them. We are essentially done all of the landscaping. We're about halfway done our quests, with the exception of voice acting, which we have none of so far. And yeah, it's been an absolute joy to work on.
So what exactly inspired the project outside of Obsidian not being you know having the quote unquote 18 years of dev time that they needed?
Um, so the project was mostly spurred about as a means of practicing in the GEC. Um, I actually started it while I was working on the mod Less Empty New Vegas by Ferrum H. I was helping him with some detailing stuff, and in between waiting for him to get back to me with feedback, I would practice on the Arizona side of the Colorado because it was a blank canvas. And I started posting my progress in that server, and then it just kind of spun out from there. And eventually, people encouraged me to start my own Discord, and then a whole kind of scene kind of grew up around that.
What has been your favorite challenge to overcome with working on the mod?
Um, Scope creep for the most part. My initial vision for Nova Arizona, then at the time it was called Arizona Redux, was incredibly small. It comprised mostly, I'd say, about 20 to 30% of what we currently have in the mod. And just over time, as new developers join the project, and more discussions are had, and we start rethinking our content, of course, scope creep starts to come in, and we start expanding the mod and expanding the mod and expanding the mod. And some of those conversations got pretty heated. I was definitely against a majority of the expansions, but I think for the most part, they have made the mod significantly better as a result. So, one of those growing pains that you have to go through.
As it does with like a big project like that. Even with weapon mods like Another Millennia, I experienced that as well, where you just get pulled in a lot of directions and you're not quite sure how to work on it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And everybody's got great arguments for why you should do it, but it's just a matter of how much effort and how much time do you really want to put into it, and do I just want to release the mod, or do I want to put out the best mod I can? It's definitely a an argument that you have to have at some point.
What would you say is your favorite area of the current dev space?
We've got like a work camp in the south called the Pond that I think the landscaping there is very, very nice. It's like a way better version of the quarry that exists in New Vegas. Much more true to what a quarry looks like in real life. I think our landscaper did a really good job there. We've also got a cow field. It's not very exciting, but it's just like a nice piece of flat terrain that's very serene. Not something you get a lot in New Vegas. So.
Yeah, I was looking at Nova Arizona, obviously before we went live today. Um, is it compatible with mods like TTW and Drywells and those sort of mods?
Yeah, so we're basically compatible with most mods. Anything that touches the east side of the Colorado, we're going to be incompatible with. I actually don't use a whole lot of mods on my personal playlist, so I am not 100% sure which ones actually touch the Colorado. I know one of the versions of Tales of New Reno did or still does. I know that series is being reworked right now, so I don't know if that's been changed. I think there might be some World of Pain dungeons over here that that would be incompatible. And then there's a couple of mods that aimed to do similar things that Nova Arizona does. Like there's the Malpai um, base mod, I guess. That's completely incompatible because we have our own version of Malpai. But with regards to Dry Wells and Long 15, which is coming out next month, we're actually sister projects to those. So we share a lot of the dev teams, and we've made sure that our lore is completely compatible. So we actually encourage you to use that along with Nova Arizona.
Interesting. So it's built with from the ground up to be like be compatible with Drywells and Long 15. That's really good.
Yeah, exactly. It's we had some pretty early crossover on our dev teams, which allowed us to rework our lore to be compatible with fairly little effort. And I think when they transitioned from dry wells to going full hog on development of Long 15, it was a priority to make sure that we were compatible as well.
Okay. Um. wh- Sorry. What percent do you think you are with Nova Arizona with it like its completeness? How done is the mod?
This is one of my favorite questions we get because it really depends on what you're looking to get out of the mod. So, for example, if you're looking for just a large Legion themed dungeon set on the other side of the dam, the mod is essentially done for you. If you all you want to do is do some looting, do some shooting, and experience some new world space, the mod is essentially completely good for you. With regards to our quests, we're about halfway done implementing them, and the quests that we have left are some of our more complex ones, so it's going to take a little bit more time on those. And then for voice acting, as I mentioned earlier, we have not implemented any of that, and that's a deliberate choice. We're holding off on that until we've actually finished all of our writing and implemented all of our quests. It's just we kind of foresee it being a bit hell getting voice actors for all of our dialogue, just because there's so much of it, and we really don't want to get stuck in the space where we've gotten someone to finish their lines, and now we've had to rewrite a quest, and they're no longer available, or they're no longer interested in working in the project, and now we have to go back and fix all of that, and and we definitely don't want characters to be voiced by two different actors, so we would have to then re-record lines. So, for the purpose of our own sanity, we're holding off on that until we're a little bit further on in development. But overall, I would say the mod's about 65 to 75% done. I think it's a great experience as it is now with the quests that we do have implemented, as long as you're okay with not having voice acting. I think the quests that we have are pretty good showcases of our writing and the extended lore that we've made for the Legion. And yeah, so if you don't want to wait, don't.
What are some examples of those quests?
Sure. Uh, we've been trying to focus all of our quests as being side content first and foremost. The reason for that is we really don't want to seem out of sync with the vanilla game because we take place in the same world space. So it would feel very strange to walk a couple miles to the west or east and suddenly you're stuck in this whole new grand main quest where you're politicking around the Legion. So most of our quests are pretty low stakes. But we've because of that we've tried to focus on more novel concepts and interesting interactions. One really good one that we've got is a Radio New Vegas quest where you can meet up with a Radio New Vegas reporter who is behind Legion lines and you help him with one of his stories. So you go around interviewing legionaries, you interview some slaves. There's an instance where there's a slave that you're interviewing, and the slave master is there, and you have to worry about how the slave master is influencing the answers. And then you go back and report your findings to the reporter, and then that's eventually worked into a news story. Yeah, we've also got some interesting ones that cross the river, where people will try to will contract the player to do some favors for them, or go hunt down an item that's like we've got one that requires you go to the Sunset Sarsaparilla HQ. That's a very good quest, and that one kind of cascades into a couple of other quests as well. So it's pretty fun. That one's called One Night with Venus. That's added in our most recent build, and probably one of our best quests so far.
Okay. What is hmm? Let's see here. Does Nova Arizona have its own like radio?
We do. We actually have a Spanish language radio, which was my own doing. And the reason for that is you hear that kind of music in this region all the time, and I think it's sorely missing from New Vegas. We tried to stick to period accurate songs, so they're all songs from the 40s, 50s, or before. And there's a couple of instrumental ones. Genres range from Mexican polka to some ranchero songs. There's some revolutionary songs and some 60s, very early 60s Mexican rock and roll, which is very good, very in tune with the music that's in the game currently.
It sounds very interesting. I look forward to hearing those songs when I wander through those wastelands. So as big scope for these projects are, obviously we discussed quests and other miscellaneous stuff about the area. What kind of items and armor are you adding to like the leveled lists for those areas?
Uh, we're not touching the level lists too much. We did add a couple of casual Legion armors, which are adapted from some some concept art. Those are pretty basic though. It's just a shirtless variant and then a variant that lacks the football pads. So basically just a ripped T-shirt.
Hmm.
So those are in a couple of our legionary settlements, like Malpai in the base camp, which is the lower bit of the fort that you can see in the vanilla game. That's now accessible in Nova Arizona. But we are adding quite a lot of unique items. For example, we have focused on filling out the unique weapons that don't exist in the base game. So there are a handful of weapons that don't have those uniques for whatever reason. Either 18 years, 18 decades wasn't enough time for Obsidian or whatever. They didn't like those weapons, but we've tried to fill those in. So we've got like a unique grenade launcher. We've got a unique flamer, which is pretty cool. Um, We've got a unique lever action rifle. Basically, any weapon in the base game that doesn't have a unique variant, we're trying to fill in a unique for it.
I'm gonna take a stab in the dark and guess Fusion Prime was behind some of those, correct?
Absolutely, Fusion has been a crazy good developer on project. They have contributed countless weapons and ideas and concepts, and wonderful contributor.
Yeah, I've seen some of Fusion's work. He does good stuff. I keep meaning to give him a channel here, and I just keep forgetting to do it. Uh, let's see here. What else do we have on our docket here? What are some of the bigger issues with having to like deal with people installing Nova Arizona? I see you have to generate your own lot if you're using Tales of Two Wastelands or Wasteland Survival Guide.
Um, I'm a bad person to ask about this because I kind of we have a pretty okay written guide. We could definitely give it a couple more revisions to bang it out a little bit better. But a lot of the time, people are complaining about pretty asinine things when it comes to Nova Arizona. For the LOD, I mean, we point to the Viva New Vegas guide, which should hopefully help them with that. But our mod requirements are pretty basic. I was actually just talking to another dev about this today. We've only got three maximum four requirements if you do use pre-generated LOD. Um, we've definitely optimized the installation process quite a bit. I'm not sure how familiar you are with the older versions of the project, but we used to require that users only use Mod Organizer 2. I, for sure, was very adamant that Vortex was basically a non-starter for the project because uh, we all use Mod Organizer 2. Mod Organizer 2 is very clearly the better tool of the two, and so we're not going to provide technical support for somebody using inferior software. That's just a waste of our time. Um, but I really have a hard time helping people with our installation outside of the guides because it's complaining about things like where do I put it in my load order? Well, it's very clearly stated. You put it at the bottom. Where do I, which ones are incompatible? We clearly state in the description. It's. I think you've mentioned this before on the show. It's a whole process to get Nexus readers to read. So, um,
What do you mean
yeah.
you don't support Nexus Mod Manager? I can't believe a dev in 2025 would do this.
Well, and it's also people, who post like, this mod is unstable. I crashed to desktop, 12 times, and then uh, you ask them what their load order is, and they've got projects from 2014 with projects from last year, and they're all, mismatched, and they're missing Johnny Guitar or something,
Let's
and
see. They'll have sex out. They'll have the weird Randomon mod. They'll have
exactly, they've got
Project
6 versions
Nirvana.
of the Frontier installed. Yeah, exactly.
It's always the same shit. It's your usual suspects.
Yeah, and I do sympathize with people who genuinely are having trouble, and we do have a good community in the Discord that helps with installation. We've pretty much seen it all at this point when it comes to installation bugs, so we're pretty good at immediately diagnosing things. But for the people that complain in the Nexus comments, especially about things that tend to be already described in the description, it's I have a hard time helping those people out.
Yeah, I can only imagine with like the rise of collections and all that. It's been a bit more annoying with having to deal with people's load orders because collections like are half broken half the time anyway.
Yeah, I'm not 100% familiar with collections. I've never used them myself for New Vegas, but I can definitely foresee a lot of problems arising out of them. You really have to have, like, I play Hearts of Iron 4, for example, and the Steam Workshop has collections for those submods for that game. And it's a crapshoot from collection to collection, whether it'll be updated, whether the mods are actually compatible, whether this is just someone's grab bag that they've created to, just so that they can access mods more readily instead of searching through the workshop. You have no idea. And with these Nexus collections, I'm sure they're a little bit better curated, but I really doubt that they're getting in there and making sure that things are actually compatible and making their own patches and, getting into Xedit and fixing things. So it's buyer beware, and you really have to put a lot of trust into the collection maker. I assume anyway.
I would, no offense to collection hosts, I would not put any stock in most like 90% of collections that are on Nexus.
Yeah, well, it's as simple as what probably just hitting like a plus button, right, on mods that you like.
I have no idea, but I assume yeah, that's probably about it. Let's see here. We can
Yeah,
actually
so it's
check live.
yeah, I really yeah. Now
Ugh.
Wabajaks, I know Wabajaks are a little bit more highly curated. Again, I'm not familiar with those either, but
For the most part, yeah,
maybe
Wabajaks are pretty solid.
yeah, I've considered. You may have noticed in the Nova Arizona Discord server we've been kind of teasing out some other expansion projects that are more side projects at this point. But if those do get further along in development, I was kind of playing around with the idea of making a Wabajack or something for those to keep them all in one place for people. But I really don't know how feasible or even useful that would be.
I mean, hey, it's definitely learning a new skill and learning a new environment that could possibly be useful later on in like whatever you do.
True.
My next question here is: what is your least favorite part of Geck, and why is it editing any like conversation?
Conversations, I have my own little system for them. I have a piece of paper that I keep next to me anytime I'm working on a quest where I basically draw out my own little flowcharts to keep track of everything because, yeah, otherwise it would be a nightmare. Besides that, I think it would just be a lot of the obfuscation in the GEC. A lot of the time, things will just change, and and you have no idea why, and you have no idea where to even start changing them back. I remember I had a setting change on me a little while ago, and I tried Googling it for about, I don't know, half an hour or so. Couldn't find anything on the GEC wiki, couldn't find anything on the Nexus forums, and eventually I just kind of decided that was my new norm.
Yeah, some as useful as the Gekwiki is, it's definitely you have to be very used to it to understand how it works sometimes. This is
Yeah, and sometimes it's just wrong.
what do you
We
mean? The
encountered
Gekwiki is
an
never
issue.
wrong.
We encountered an issue where when I was adding in the Spanish language radio, and the GECWiki says that you have to have all of your files as WAVs. And so I converted them all into WAVs, and then we discovered a bug with them. And one of my other developers said, no, they all have to be MP3s. And they all have to be named a certain way, and which was not described in the wiki at all. So sometimes it's not a useful resource.
I thought they had to be oogs. I have no idea. That's crazy. See, there's so much information that's just like changes based on who you talk to.
Yeah, and also, I mean, the GEC itself is not a static platform. With GEC Extender, we're constantly getting new features and plugins and whatnot. So, and with the script extenders as well, you know, the bounds of the GEC are always changing. So, um, I don't blame anyone for not keeping up with the development of this super niche software.
Man, I do love that Gek extender. It makes things so much easier.
Yeah, I
I
have
love
nothing
not
but
crashing.
respect for people that made mods in 2012, 2014, or whatever.
Yeah, Gek extender when I first started using it, it was like night and day. I was like, wow, I can actually do things and it doesn't crash, and it tells me when my scripts aren't compiling correctly and why they aren't compiling.
It's always nice when that happens. I came up in the Team Fortress 2 modding scene, I guess. I used to make maps for TF2, but I didn't really publish any of them. But oh, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, a Gek Extender equivalent came out for Hammer called Hammer Plus Plus, and it's been an absolute boon for that community. Just the amount of features that it gets and time saving. You can actually look at real time lighting now as opposed to having to make the entire map and get in game and check the lighting only for it to be wrong, and then you have to move it half an inch and then get back into the game and check it. And yeah, it was a nightmare. So I love when volunteer developers release things like that.
Yeah, I love the good old days of, oh hey, does this work correctly? Let's go look in the Gek. I mean, let's go look in game. Oh, it doesn't work correctly. Let's close game, open Gek, wait 5 minutes. Oh, Gek crashed.
I
Good
will
old.
say though, that's working on quests currently for me.
It couldn't be me. Can't do that.
Do you think you would ever do a quest mod? I think you've spoken about ideas for them in the past.
Yeah, I've spoken about ideas for them, but I just don't have the time and like the wherewithal to sit down and learn how to use Get correctly. See, I'm what the kids call a fraud. All I know how to I have a specific set of skills and I don't really want to expand those skills.
For what it's worth, I feel like the biggest fraud in my Discord server. I barely know, like everything I did was self-taught. I barely followed video tutorials. Barely know how to use Xedit. Um,
Dog. I did
I'm
I learned how
constantly
to like
screwing things
mod New Vegas through Gek first. And people call me insane for that.
up.
But yeah, I mean I eventually if I get like the enough drive to do it, I'll probably start with a basic quest mod, nothing crazy. Well, you know how to use fucking Gek. Don't gaslight me. Uh, it's more of a getting your ideas down on paper and then figuring out how to implement them. I think is probably the biggest challenge for me. I'd much rather get a guy to do that for me. But yeah, it's something I might tackle eventually, just not anytime soon.
Yeah, you should definitely give it a go at some point. It's a different muscle to stretch for sure, working on quests, and you really have to um, be very accepting of feedback and playtesting,
Mhm.
and acknowledging different routes and stuff like that. It's interesting. It's definitely different compared to working with weapons and stuff like that.
Let's see here. In my limited skill set, I can nav mesh, I can do leveled lists all day, and I can make creatures slash creature entries. That I think that is about the limit of my skill list. Oh,
Basically, more than me.
oh, and weapon balance. Of course, weapon balance. That's like my bread and butter, I guess.
Oh, that's my nightmare. I'm terrible at balancing.
I'm great at it. Just ask anyone who uses another millennia. Plug. Download. When is the another millennia shop opening up in Nova, Arizona?
We've got plenty of buildings. We could probably make a patch for you.
Sick. I was trying to get Fusion Prime and Vlad to do it, and they told me no, or do it myself.
Well, that's the beauty of Nova Arizona is we're an open development project. So if you want to put in a shop, all you need to do is post in the recruitment channel and make a shop in the mod.
Uh, Mister Another Millennia, owner of that one weird shop in the middle of bumfuck nowhere.
Yeah, just a 10-penny tower in the middle of Mojave County, Arizona.
You just have to regenerate Laud 6 times. Don't worry about it. Ugh, that's my least favorite thing about doing a lot of mods is having to do my own Laud. I always fuck it up.
I used to be pretty bad at it. I've gotten used to it just because I have to do it so often with our builds, but I'm pretty lazy. I haven't updated my LOD textures for a very long time, so everything looks super muddy.
Yeah, I didn't even bother with doing Laud when I downloaded Nova Arizona today for the nice background photo for the video. So I was like, oh, huh, yeah, you really do need to generate Laud. That's a floating like trailer right there. Oops.
Yeah.
Huh, so that's what that looks like.
We've got a image macro in the server for LOD issues that just shows the basically every single person's first LOD comment is a giant, gross-looking muddy hill where our location Willow Beach is. Because that's all vanilla terrain, and we had to cut it back a little bit to fit in the location. And it's where you used to start the mod, so it was the first thing that people saw. And yeah, it happened so often. People posting screenshots of that specific LOD. We had to make an image macro out of it whenever people brought it up.
Yeah, my funniest thing about joining the Nova Arizona Discord for the first time is seeing one of my screenshots in your rules.
Yeah,
That full sent me what
I
I saw.
added that. I don't remember why. I think I originally said we should cut out the name, and one of the developers said no. I think Arc would be okay with that. But yeah, I had never. I didn't even realize that you had made another millennia at that point. I just saw the post and thought it was really funny.
It's like, yeah, my name precedes me. My reputation is well known. I really love that.
Evidently, yeah.
Uh my favorite thing is people always saying, "Oh, your thing doesn't work." I downloaded none of the requirements. Why don't weapons spawn?
Yeah,
It's people and reading.
yeah.
Reading
You
is
can usually safely ignore those ones.
usually. Let's see here. I have a few more questions here about Nova Arizona. Do you have what is your like end goal with Nova Arizona?
So my end goal, and again, it's the project is pretty flatly organized. So my end goal is one of many end goals, but my end goal specifically with it is to finish off our 60 or so quests that we have planned. All of them, or the majority of them anyway, have a pretty good rough outline of what we want to do with them. They're all pretty evenly spaced out across the map, and they're all pretty low stakes. So, hoping that'll go pretty smoothly. From there, we do have some developers that are working on other projects. We've also got a couple of specifically Nova Arizona expansions planned, or at the very least talked about. Whether or not I'll stay on for the full development of those, I'm not sure. Nova Arizona has definitely taken a lot out of me. I never intended for this to be as big as it has gotten, but we roll with it until it's done. But we have Corn Creek expansion, which expands the north borders. We have the Sandy Valley expansion, which expands the western borders, right next to Good Springs. And then we have the Valley of Fire expansion, which expands to the east of Nellis Air Force Base. Most of those are being worked on by our developer SM, who is our landscape lead for the most part. We've also got a Ouroboros themed expansion that's focusing on the Van Buren character Hecate, who is a woman who is convinced she's a god, and she's kind of waging a war against Caesar's legion in the north. So we've got some very good writing done for Ouroboros and the two factions associated with it, the Daughters of Hecate and the Hounds of Hecate. Um, and we've got a very basic world space built for that, but when it comes to developing, we haven't really entered into any real development phase for that. And we've also got a very, very loose outline of a Mexicali expansion, which, and you might like this, is focusing on the Baja
Ooh.
conflict that the NCR is taking place in.
Well, feel free to steal some of my ideas for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
uh, yeah, that's really exciting to hear, actually.
Yeah, it'll be cool if we can do it. Again, I've been very big on not over promising things with our projects. It's part of why I chose to do the beta release format as opposed to the normal large mod format of developing it and then releasing it 10 years down the line when it's finally done. Uh, um, so when we do have some builds that are playable for those, we will definitely be putting them on the Nexus. But yeah, I'm not going to overpromise anything for those. They could definitely stop development any day if something happens to one of the developers or something.
Mhm. So, what would you say are some media inspirations for the kind of content you'll find in Nova Arizona?
Um, well, we've Blood Meridian for sure is something that a lot of the developers speak about a lot as an inspiration in the server. I'm not sure if you've read that by Cormac McCarthy. Um, I'm blanking on some of the other works. We take a lot of inspiration from real world events. Like I myself am very, I've been very influenced by the Congo Wars when it comes to the makeup of the Legion militarily. I know that we have lent on a lot of. They're posting the judge in the comments now.
Oh, perfect.
Um, I know that we have drawn a lot on Mormon history for the Legion and the region at large. A lot of our extended lore builds on New Canaan and the Mormon communities in that region. What else? I'm blanking on other media. Aliens. I named a town after uh, Newt in that movie.
I mean, it's very interesting to like. It's going to be interesting for me when I actually go through and get played on the New Vegas side of things instead of being trapped in TTW hell for 20 years. Um, it'll be interesting to see how the world space actually pans out for me. And I look forward to like noticing what kind of references are all over the place.
Yeah, I look forward to your feedback on it. We've definitely, if you're a fan of Wild Wasteland encounters, we've got quite a bit of those in there, and those are all more focused on pop culture references. We've got Diablo 2 one. We've got a OG Fallout one. We've recreated the death screen in that with a custom cactus asset. Um, we've got what else? Really blanket on them. Yeah, but we've got tons of Wild Wasteland things as well. So,
Look
oh,
out!
follow tactics. We've got a follow tactics weapon.
Ooh, we do love Fallout Tactics. I'm looking forward to see the Arxie Hugger tells you to read Wild Wasteland Encounter in Nova, Arizona.
You could probably stick that in a cave or somewhere.
Feature creep. It's my favorite. It's my favorite thing about modding. Let's see here. Now I know you said you play Hearts of Iron 4, and mod Hearts of Iron, or maybe not mod, but use mods for it. What other games would you make mods for?
Uh, I probably will never make a mod for it, but I have been playing the mod True Misery for Far Cry 2. Uh, I'm not sure if you've ever played Far Cry 2 before, but True Misery just makes it a significantly worse experience overall, which is exactly what I'm looking for. Um, and there are
Yeah.
a couple of quirks of that mod that I don't like a lot. But I like the overall experience of the mod so much that I have to put up with them. So if I were to mod it on another game, I would probably make some tweaks to that mod for my own personal liking. I would love to make a Hearts of Iron 4 mod just for the fun of making flags, but um, I just really don't want to put in the effort for that.
That's how it starts. You're like, oh, I just
It
want to,
is.
change one or two things, and then suddenly you're 2,000 hours deep in a mod project.
Exactly. Yeah, and you've scope creeped 7 times and you've released 8 trailers.
Like, oh yeah, well, we'll just edit this one perk. Wait, what do you mean I have a whole perk pack I have to release now? What?
What do you mean I need voice actors?
Grok, can I have voice actors? Ugh. No. That goes into a really good thing. I know that some guy has popped up recently making his own mods again. How do you feel about AI voice acting in general and the use in like mods?
It's definitely an interesting question. I have flip-flopped a bit on it. When I originally started Nova Arizona, my intent was to use AI voice acting as a placeholder for our characters. But after some consideration, we all kind of collectively decided that was just going to be essentially doubling of work, and it introduced the possibility of lines not being fully copied over, and now you've got some voice acted lines, and then an accidentally included AI line, and that just sounds bad and takes people out of the experience. I see the appeal of AI voice acting or text to speech voice acting. I think for modding, you are so at a lack of resources, and people don't always acknowledge this, but having connections to voice actors is a resource in and of itself. And having the ability to communicate with them and collaborate and coordinate line delivery and direct them, those are all skills that not everybody has, but they may have the lines or the ability to make a mod. And so I definitely see why people like that would lean on voice acting, or just for the sake of putting something out in a quick amount of time. But I think that it's going to be noticed by players, and I think overall it hurts the experience of games as a result, or experiences as a result. But I definitely think that if you know the limitations of it and you're sourcing your AI from an okay source, or you're just using generic text to speech software, that can work too. Quite a lot of non AI text to speech software has gotten pretty good at voice synthesis. Um, I definitely see why someone would use it. I don't necessarily judge someone too harshly on it because, you know, this is a hobby at the end of the day. If you want to cut corners, that's your business, not mine. But it's not really what we're looking to do for with Nova Arizona, especially.
That's completely
Um,
understandable.
yeah, I mean, I definitely, you know, I think there are a whole lot of arguments against AI. You know, just the power usage alone of it, it's really, I don't think, worth it in the end. But when it comes to, you know, using it as a or criticizing someone for using it in a creative endeavor, I think you really have to take into account the context of that person's ability and their time, and you know, the significance of the project. You know, it's not a commercial product. No one is being paid to work on it. Um, you can only fault them so much for taking that shortcut.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I think it's a very slippery slope with how people can use it. Obviously, I'm a big believer of anti AI. Please don't use my electricity. Um,
I 100% agree with the slippery slope. I think that it's very easy to lean on it, and it's very easy to let it guide your creative process as opposed to using it as a tool for your creative process. And I've only maybe seen two art projects, you know, unrelated to modding, but two art projects where I have really seen that AI was used in a meaningful way, and you know, both of them I think could have been done without it, but due to the way that they were made, they kind of needed to use AI, but or voice synthesis, but it's 9 out of 10 times it's really hard to justify the use of it, and I think thinking that you're going to be that 1 out of 10 people that can use it in a novel way that actually, you know, benefits your work, you know, just hire a voice actor.
or do it yourself. I'm a big proponent of
Exactly. Yeah.
voice the shit yourself. I
Yeah.
feel
I think there's a lot of stage fright when it comes to that, which I understand. But I think, you know, either deal with the stage fright or deal with the criticism of using AI. It's one or the other.
yeah. I think I have a quote in the server that's I will voice my own shit ass mods. Thank you.
And I think that's the best way to go about it. I think that modding is all about, you know, that DIY ethos and getting in there and putting a blanket over your head and getting your Blue Yeti mic and getting the voice acting done is that's all about it.
Get your 360 mic from 20 years ago. Arc voices all his
Your rock
guns.
band mic.
True. Very true. Alrighty, we're about to hit the end point of the show here. Is there anything you'd like to add before we get to the like asking the peanut gallery questions or peanut gallery asking questions kind of deal?
Sure, I did have a question for you, if that's okay.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Sure. I'm really interested in your opinion on the, because you've gotten the opportunity to speak with a couple of modders, and I know that you're very involved in the New Vegas scene, especially. Um, I'm wondering what your opinion is on the commercialization of mods, and particularly the commercialization of Bethesda software mods. We're, you know, coming right out of the controversy of the anniversary edition of Fallout 4, which was a shit show. I believe many of the mods packaged in that edition were broken or broke the game in some capacity. And yet that's a commercial product. And I'm wondering, what are your opinions on that? Is that something that you think you would take part in as a modder yourself if you got that opportunity?
So we're this 1 hour show is about to become a 2 hour show.
That's
Um,
okay. I've got a little bit of extra time, so don't worry about it.
as someone who's been around for the entirety of Fallout 4's modding scene, more of in a background role because I did beta testing for ye old Junkmaster back in the day. Um, I think the idea and concept of it is interesting. However, I think when you put it up to people to actually put their own mods and creations up on that platform to sell themselves, I think that is kind of a misstep in some ways, because it's a lot less, it's not being curated, and also anyone can upload anything, and there's not really a well, there is like a way to like prevent people from uploading your own mods as someone else's mod, right? But I just think it's a very slippery slope to like go down that line of creation. Like, yeah, everyone needs to get their bag and get their money, but I don't know, Chief. It's when you go onto the fucking Fallout 4 creations thing and you see a fucking perk pack that is $6, and it's just like 8 perks. It grinds my gears in the wrong way.
Oh,
Um,
that was kind of actually what I was hoping to do as a follow-up question is do you feel like it influences the type of modding that kind of manifests around the game? Like, I know with Fallout 4, I spent a little bit of time playing mods for that game, but I found that a lot of them were not quite what I was looking for. And
I think that
uh,
summarizes Fallout 4 as an experience.
yeah. But a lot of the mods I find for that game are superficial when it comes down to the essence of them, I guess you could say. You know, it's reskins of armors, it's new weapons that are essentially just an old weapon repackaged. It's perk packs, like you said, that don't necessarily add game changing perks, mostly just small stat differences. Do you think that the creation model kind of influences people to be putting out lower effort mods or mods that uh, allow for a quicker buck?
So this all goes back. This all like devolves back into like the whole DP debate, right? With how Skyrim modding is, with like how DP farming was on Nexus before they decided to fix it. I think that allowing people to upload their own mods to this creation model versus Bethesda commissioning creations is just kind of, and it's definitely making mods be shittier for no reason except for getting money. And I think it's a very slippery slope when you have people who don't particularly care about their quality. They know how to take a good screenshot, and they'll just upload whatever shit ass thing is some Timmy and his $6 will go spend. Now, I'm not like putting down modders who put their stuff on creations, because like as I said, this is a hobby. If you can make money on your hobby, that's great. But it kind of just feeds in and on itself of creating a negative feedback loop of trying to make like something super hyper profitable and quick to put out for just a couple bucks.
I agree, and I think too. I mean, there's no standards for the advertising of those mods either, so you can get into the trap of people putting out descriptions that seem a lot more exciting or bombastic than the actual content of the mod. Like I was watching a video going over some of the creations included in the anniversary edition, and
We're
one of
gonna
them
get into
was
that
like
one.
you walk 5 feet down the road from Sanctuary and kill something, and then you you get a new weapon or gun or something. Uh, and I mean, it's included in the edition, but it used to be you're charging money for that, and I'm sure the description is saying something like this is a big quest mod, get a bespoke gun, armor, what have you, but uh, it's not worth the money that they're charging, and they have no reason to make it seem like it's not worth that money.
So the funniest thing about the Fallout 4 anniversary update is the 150 plus creations tag. Of those 150 creations, 115 are just reskins of the Pip-Boy, the dog, or weapons, or armor. Um, you can't even download like the two new quote unquote creations that they announced with like the creation bundle. You have to go into the actual like UI and find it in the damn creations menu. Yeah, it's free for now, but like I don't trust Bethesda enough to like keep it free. That's sad.
Yeah. So, kind of spinning off of that, what, in your opinion, would be a good alternative for modders who want to be paid for their work? Like I know for other games, GTA especially, the Patreon model seems to be the way that people go with it.
Mhm.
Um, what do you think would be a good way of a good counterbalance to that?
I mean, honestly, I as controversial as it is, I think the DP method that like Nexus does is actually pretty solid when it like isn't shit.
That's
Um,
yeah, I'm not 100% familiar with the DP. We don't accept DP on Nova Arizona just for because it's an open project. It would be a nightmare trying to organize
yes,
getting
yes.
money for
Uh
everybody.
that is why we don't accept DP on another millennia because there's 8 million people who like have credits on another millennia.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
But from what I understand of it, it's basically direct donations, right?
no, it's more if I you people can correct me if I'm wrong. It's based on like unique downloads. So basically, you'll get a amount of clicks and downloads, and that will translate into like a percentage of DP that gets paid out to you. Let me look at my wallet here, and I can tell you what I have pending. Let me flex the good old wallet here. So like last month, I made my model awards was like 2,500 or 25,000, and I got 1,800 or 18,000. Which means like that of my split, like some other people got some DP from my stuff or from stuff I'm accredited DP to. And that they pay the DP out like every month, like that. Basically like so for last month I got DP for July, or this month I got DP for July. Next month I'll get DP for like August, which means I'll
So
get
it's
the payment.
prorated a couple months.
Yeah, it's like back pay.
Okay.
They changed
Yeah,
the
I think that
calculation
model
method.
works.
Wall says they changed the calculation method. They change a lot of shit with that. I hate how they don't show you where your DP is coming from exactly. Um, but I think that method's pretty okay. It could be a lot better. I mean, I know Skyrim modders make like 8 billion DP a day because of
Yeah, well, there's a disparity when it comes to the games too, right? So you really have
yes.
to develop for the games you can make money off of as opposed to the games you actually want to.
The alternative I think would be like having like your Kofi links and all that stuff, but that's not great. I've only gotten like $10 off Kofi, which isn't a bad thing. By the way, Kofi link is in the description. Uh, a good way to do it. I mean, commissioned mods are a thing. I have no knock against those. I would never like take commissions because I'm lazy. Nor would I do commissions because I typically, if I want to do something, I'll just do it. But yeah,
And
it's a question that doesn't really have a good answer right now for me.
that's fair.
Um,
I think I think it's a very hard thing for any one entity to figure out. Just because it's like we said, it's so different from game to game, and the circumstances of every mod are different. I guess you could go with like whatever the Roblox model is.
no, no, let's
Um,
not touch whatever Roblox is. That's like child slave
you don't
links.
want child slaves developing your mods?
No, I don't want child slaves.
Controversial opinion.
Controversial opinion. Child slaves bad. But yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how it changes based on Bethesda opening the can of worms that is paid creations. I mean, we've seen it with like Skyrim a little bit. It's mostly people making money off of like your poor Timmy with an Xbox down the road. Which isn't a bad thing, but also it's definitely a disparity of quality between people uploading mods from like Skyrim 2011 edition and charging like $5 million versus uploading mod made last week that's actually decent and charging like $1.
Well, and I think too, I mean, we're starting to see the adoption of mods a lot more in just like regular game development. Mods are starting to be seen as more of an inevitability. Um, Things like Cyberpunk release modding frameworks alongside the games, with the expectation that the community is going to co-develop alongside the commercial developer. And I think we're going to start seeing some interesting dialogue from modders when it comes to whether they should be compensated for their work and how that compensation can even happen when these are anonymous people voluntarily developing for these games. But, with things like Starfield, that game released and everybody basically collectively said, I'm waiting until the mods fix it.
And that hasn't
And those,
happened yet.
no, and I don't think it ever will.
No, no, it won't. If
But
I remember correctly, the big "Hey, let's fix it" mod got abandoned, and Nexus is like trying to sell it off to somebody else.
even the fact that that can happen, that a third party would want to get another person to develop a mod for the good of a game of a fourth party, you know, is wild to me. And
Oh no,
it's
definitely.
really interesting how games development has kind of shaken out that way.
Yeah, I think that going forward, Bethesda games probably aren't going to be kind of worth modding. As much as I hate to say it, even when the vulnerable Fallout 3 remaster, Unreal Can't Run edition comes out, I don't think I'll be on it. Like, I mean, I was playing Oblivion remaster, and that's fun and all, but like, it's not worth really modding to me.
No, I really don't have any interest in modding um, most modern Bethesda games. I definitely wouldn't have interest in working on a New Vegas remaster, for instance. I actually kind of think both a Fallout 3 remaster and a New Vegas remaster are kind of a waste of time. I kind of view the Oblivion remaster similarly. I don't know. I've never been one to be bothered by old graphics, and I maybe controversially hold the opinion that these games are plenty pretty with their vanilla visuals, as so long as you bump up the resolution and um, play at a proper brightness and everything. That's kind of one of the traits of Nova Arizona, is we've been trying very hard to stick to the vanilla aesthetic. And I've kind of grown a great appreciation for it and Fallout 3's aesthetic. I think they're very deliberately built. And a lot of times, remasters can kind of ruin that. The Oblivion remaster is fine, I find. I don't necessarily think Oblivion 1 was ugly. I think it just needed some more grass for the most part.
Grass and a
Um,
good LOD, yeah.
yeah, basically. But I think that game is plenty pretty enough in its release. I played it at release, and I thought it was beautiful then, and I love the cartoony art style, or not necessarily cartoony, but more fantastical, I guess you could call it. But I think the remaster kind of loses a lot of those qualities and loses a lot of the deliberate construction of that world, and is less off for it. I mean, there are other improvements that make it probably a better game overall, but visually, I think it's weaker for sure.
I actually do like the remastered visuals a lot. However, I don't like the autism I have to go through to make the game run well on my computer.
Ah, yeah, it's Unreal 5, right? And that's kind of a nightmare call
Unoptimized
to live.
Unreal 5.
Yeah.
The future of gaming, if as they say. Do you have any other
I mean,
questions for hold on. Go finish your thing and I'll my
oh,
bad.
sure. I was just gonna say it's a great out of the box tool that doesn't really fix a lot of specific problems for people. So it's yeah. I've tried playing around with Unreal before, and I don't like it.
I don't either. Do you have any other questions for me before we move on to the peanut gallery segment?
uh, that's a great question. I guess I'll say, what are your impressions of Nova Arizona? How did you find the project, and what are your expectations for it? What would you like to see out of it?
let's see here. So I've actually been following Nova Arizona since day one, believe it or not. Um, when you guys first uploaded, well, not maybe not day one, but whenever you guys uploaded the actual mod to Nexus is when I started following it.
Okay, cool.
Um, I didn't have much faith in it at first because, as you know, big quest mods, yada yada yada, Nuevo Mexico.
Oh
Uh,
shit, that's something I wanted to talk to you about.
oh yeah, this is gonna turn into a 2 hour episode. Um,
We don't have to touch on it too long, but I know you've spoken about it before.
ad nauseum. Uh,
Very interesting project for sure. As far as I understand, it was
so,
just a series of vertical slices. Am I getting that right?
some would say it never existed.
Yeah.
But back to Nova Arizona. What are my expectations for the mod? I mean, just having a new world space to explore that's like in the actual world space of New Vegas is very fun. I expect like I like that you, as you said, you're going off of the vanilla style of New Vegas, and I really appreciate that because it's a very simple style to like fuck up, but you guys seem to have gotten it right so far, from what I've seen, just milling around in the world space. Um, I would like to see. Let's see here. Obviously, another Millennia Giant Supermart just placed in the middle of the map. Yep, that's what I want. Um, as far as expectations, I typically go into these new world mods wanting just a fun, like, fuck around and just explore kind of deal. Like, I'm a big fan of Alton, Illinois. Such a big fan, I made my own patch for it and got it uploaded to the mod. Um, I'm a big fan of those, like, well, the first half of Havansa Blues. However you pronounce that. As long as, like, the world space is fun and, like, it has good visual clarity and the areas make sense and flow well, I think you guys are going to do a great job with it. I'm kind of glad you guys aren't adding a billion weapons to leveled lists and are using vanilla leveled lists as far as I could see. Because that means that my stuff pops up in it pretty frequently. That's a little.
Yeah, it's better for compatibility and it's better from a believability standpoint too, right? It's, why would they be using significantly different um, weapons and stuff just a couple miles from the front?
Uh,
That should all be pretty standard issue.
I think weapons are surprisingly untalked about pratfall for a lot of these big quest mods and big world space mods. Either they add too many weapons or they do things that make no goddamn sense, like giving a starting area. Oh hey, here's a marksman carbine just laying on the ground. Go for it. Or with the Frontiers case, there's 8 billion fucking weapons.
One of my biggest gripes is when you can see a very clearly different model compared to the vanilla game. I think it's Salt Lake City or Salt Lake Stories.
Salt Lake Stories.
They've
That's a mod.
they've got a couple of models that are ripped. Like I think there's a Desert Eagle that's ripped from something. Is that another Millennia Desert Eagle?
I don't. I don't think so. I think it's from something
Okay,
else.
good.
I'm
Because
pretty sure that's like from Counter Strike. I think.
that's what I thought. It looked like a model rip from COD or Counter Strike or something, but it definitely doesn't mesh with the other weapons. There's also like a skull shotgun that I don't think looks very good.
Oh yeah, that thing's terrible.
Yeah, and those sorts of things take me out of the experience a lot, especially for something like Salt Lake City's, or wow, sorry, Salt Lake Stories, where it's intended to be happening alongside the happenings in the base game, right? It's just supposed to be traveling to another location. And you've got these wildly differently looking and differently modeled, like a completely different vertex count and everything. Um, uh, just, yeah, doesn't look great to me.
What do you mean the weird out of place child companion that you rescue from slavery is out of place? I don't know what you mean.
I'm talking about child slaves again.
We're back on child slaves, baby. But yeah, Salt Lake Stories, that's a controversial mod. I've played through it once. I think it has some good ideas, but execution wise, it's kind of terrible.
Yeah, well, I think it's a very well concepted mod, and I think that had they continued with the project, I think it would be in a very good state right now. But as it is, especially with that world travel screen that they have implemented, it's kind of a non-starter for anybody who can't deal with that jank.
So when I played through it my first time, that didn't work, and the car just
Oh,
bounced
good.
around wildly on the map as I moved, and I never fixed it. Because it was just too funny to me that it was just that broken. So I just played with it the entire time.
Yeah, it's not a good impression for sure. Especially, the whole onus of that mod is you start at the garage or whatever, and you have to track down the car parts, and then for the car to be that much of a letdown is unfortunate and definitely impacts the impression of the rest of the mod.
I mean, I think the mod, like conceptually, like you said, is like very well like thought out. But if they just made like like I know they wanted to emulate what they want to emulate like the Fallout One style of travel kind of, but it just doesn't. You can't really do it like that in New Vegas. It would have probably been better just been like a menu, like the move your mobile base kind of thing, or mobile truck base.
Yeah, I think they could have accomplished the same or better results if they had done something like that and then added some random encounters. Like there's that fast travel random encounter mod.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that way, they could have their bespoke world spaces for their more designed locations, like Claw Peak and I forget the other ones. And then they could have some generic kind of wasteland world spaces where you're squared into a small space with a random encounter, and you know, and I think that would accomplish better results than the travel screen that they have now. Yeah, Bowie Town is. I'm looking at the chat here. Bowie Town is pretty good. Um, Bowie Town is definitely close to the town design that we've tried to emulate.
Uh, Moving on to another bad mod, Nuevo Mexico. Oh boy, what were your questions about Nuevo Mexico?
Well, I was just curious about the development of that mod. I have a lot of interest in the development structures of these large mods. I very much try to avoid some of the problems that I've seen emerge from some of these projects in the past. In fact, I kind of made Nova Arizona's development such that if I could leave at any time and the mod could continue development without me, without issue. And my impression of that mod is it was kind of the opposite, where there was a central pillar and nothing happened without their approval. So I was interested. Did you have any insight on that?
So I didn't work on the mod at all, but I do have insight on the interior how that mod worked, and I have spoken to Zipdick about um it. Unfortunately, um, basically, from what I've heard from former developers who were on the project and former team members, no one ever got the main assets for the mod, so you can kind of imagine how that doesn't work when you're trying to make a big world space.
Not at all. No. And I
Um,
imagine well, they definitely had custom assets for the buildings because they had that Mexico City area. I don't know how you could develop the mod without those.
I'm pretty sure he just ripped those from something.
Oh,
Um,
good.
I've seen those buildings before somewhere. I can't tell you where, but I've seen them somewhere. Um,
There goes one of the impressive things I thought about the mod.
Basically, it was a bunch. It was made for a trailer, from my understanding. Zapshock never gave out the main ESM or any of the files. He had people send him stuff, and then he would quote unquote work on the mod. Um, and then the whole fiasco with Another Millennia happened, where he was like, "Hey," or he uploaded the trailer. Um, I watched the trailer. I saw a couple of our pieces in there, and I was like, "Hey, those look familiar." Those aren't Millennia, specifically Millennia assets. Those are our shit ass assets. Let me go see what this is about. So fun fact, he was in the Discord when this like happened. So like he could have shot me a message at any time, and this would have been like avoided. So I go to his DMs. I'm like, hey, I noticed that you used a few of our things in your mod. What's going on with that? You know, I mean, I think it's cool, but you could have given us like a heads up. And he was like, "Oh yeah, I want to include another Millennia in Nuevo Mexico." And I was like, "Okay, I want to include the entire ESM and all of its assets into Nuevo Mexico's ESM." And I said, "No, you can't just do that. You can't just eat the entire mod because you're too lazy to like make a patch or just make it a dependency." And it just kind of like spun out negatively from there. Like at one point, he came to my DMs asking to be credited for another Millennia for whatever reason, even though he'd never worked on the mod, which is still batshit insane to me. And then I shared it with our team, and our team told him to pound sand. And then he went on his whole insane thing.
Yeah, that's unfortunate that that happened. I try to stay pretty divorced from the New Vegas modding community at large. Our
Good idea.
servers are very much in its own little corner, and we like it that way. But it was unfortunate to see the falling out from there. And uh, I don't think that the vision for Nuevo Mexico was ever really concretely set out because it was originally supposed to be happening concurrently with New Vegas, if I remember correctly, and then it was like 20 years in the past, and it was no longer featuring the Legion,
And
despite a
then,
Legion. Yeah, and then it was now solely in Mexico, if I remember correctly.
yep. And then it was like 80 years in the past, and then now it's in
Oh, I
Fallout
didn't even
4.
know that. Oh yeah. Oh gosh. So it's it's unfortunate that it shook out that way. I think it was a very interesting project, and I would very much love to.
Okay.
I think that Mexico is criminally underrepresented in Fallout, um, particularly because a lot of the territory that Fallout takes place in, is historically Mexican territory as well. And I think there's a lot of stories you can tell there, and a lot of interesting parallels you can draw from the fiction in the Fallout universe and the America in that universe, and the America that went to war against Mexico once upon a time, and maybe in the future. Um, and yeah, I think that there's a lot of interesting creative ground there, and it's really unfortunate that like the closest we ever got to that was Fallout Brotherhood of Steel, funnily enough, and the companion in New Vegas.
So Ahab has a correction for us here. Ahab said it was 4 years after Fallout New Vegas, then 40 years before, then 200 years in the past.
Yeah, I mean that's just that's a timeline that's completely
Insane.
it's not feasible, right, to carry things from one build to the next when you've got that sort of timeline, especially in the Fallout universe. Like 40 years is the difference between the NCR being where they are now and the NCR being where they're at in Fallout 2, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, I think something definitely went unfortunately wrong in the conception phase of that project, and things weren't decided on concretely ahead of time, and you really can't waste people's time with jerking them around with things like that. All within a
Absolutely.
month or two. That's yeah. That's you can't develop with flip flopping like that.
Alrighty, now it is time for our final segment of the show. The Peanut Gallery asks us questions and then we answer them terribly. So, our audience of 10 people, please go ahead, single file, ask questions, and we will get to going. Postman6 asks, do the new quests slash NPCs react to stuff you did in vanilla FNV or vice versa?
They do. We are very. We're trying to be pretty conservative with how much it affects what's happening in the FNV main quest, but we do have some bits that will influence it. For example, we've got a quest now where you have to negotiate a trade between supply master at the fort and some ghouls from a settlement or region called the Reservation, which is building upon Van Buren lore. And basically, they're ghoul supremacists living out of Area 51. And one of the quest outcomes of that is you sell the Legion some surplus. Oh shoot, I forget if they're not power gloves. What's the other glove? Displacer glove.
Displacer glove, zap glove.
Yeah, displacer gloves. So you sell them some surplus displacer gloves that the ghouls are trying to pawn off on the Legion. And if you successfully do that, those the legionaries will spawn with displacer gloves in the dam battle. We've also got a companion, I believe, that we're working on that's has a potential to show up on the Legion side of the dam battle, depending on how you do her quest. Um, yeah, so we are sporadically affecting things in the base game, but it's we're trying to keep it at the same level that vanilla does with its quest carryover. So um, yeah, hopefully that answers your question.
Okay. The next question is: have you been to Arizona before?
I have been to an Arizonan airport before.
That's enough inspiration for an entire Fallout mod.
Yeah, it was beautiful. But unfortunately, I've not been able to travel to this region before. I would, funnily enough, I think at this point, I would enjoy going to like Dolan Springs and the other town that we've adapted in the mod, Chloride, more than I would going to uh, Las Vegas itself at this point. But yeah, I would love to go to this region if I could.
Wall asks, what is your most hated part of the mod?
My most hated part of the mod is probably the fact that we removed all of our Saguro cactuses. This
Uninstall it.
was probably probably one of the most heated discussions we had in the Discord server was over these cacti. We, I wanted to add the cacti because I felt that it conveyed a transition of geographic region to the player. Many of our other developers disagreed with me because geographically, those cacti do not appear in this region. They are a Sonoran cactus. So we are in the Mojave Desert still, and those are native to the Sonoran Desert. And this went back and forth for quite a bit, and eventually we had decided to remove them all. But I thought they were a pretty cool visual identity. They added a cool visual identity to the mod, and I miss them.
Let's see here. Matt Pat 3000 asks, is your mod a good or a bad?
I think it's probably a net bad
Yeah.
for humanity. Yeah.
Mm. Magic Arc 3516 asks, any more Wild Wasteland encounters you can reveal?
It's less about part of revealing them and more a part of remembering them. Hold on. I think
So
we
true,
have. Let
Dusty.
me check our content guide. That is very out of date. Uh, okay, yeah. I mean, I'll tell you about one of the ones that I do remember. We have adapted Nuka Yellow, which is from Fallout Tactics, into the mod. It's a weapon that you throw at enemies.
Nuka
And that's a
Yellow.
Wild Wasteland encounter.
That is one. Let's see here. In a perfect world where you get the base game voice actors, what Legion character would you like to have integrated into the mod and fleshed out?
Um, Caesar would definitely be the biggest one for sure. We have explored the idea of doing some voice splicing to get him to interact with some of our quests. I believe we have a single conversation as part of one of our quests so far, which I think is feasibly done through voice splicing. But having some extra lines from him, especially just to acknowledge some of the wider lore that we've introduced to the regions just outside of the world space would be super, super helpful. Outside of that, Lanius would be great. Early on in the development, we had considered opening up the Legate camp as a Legion settlement, but there's just really no reason to. And without being able to interact with Lanius or influence Lanius up to the end of the main quest, I think it would be kind of pointless.
What do you mean you don't want Ulysses to be in your mod, fully fleshed out? Uh,
it, it would be interesting, but yeah, I mean, we could make him yap for days if we really wanted to.
Andreas Edward Roy Selzer asks, when it comes to Legion ranks being added, how many new armors for said ranks? And thank you again for letting me that plume silly Vladik made for my own mod.
We've
Reading
actually
comprehension.
added very little extra rank armor. We've added a so in the lore of our mod, there are multiple legates, and that's based off of some lines that are in the base game. So Lanius is considered like underlined the legate, but there are some regional legates that kind of handle the day in and day outs of the military campaigns of the Legion and its many regions. And so we made a unique armor for the legate that is stationed here prior to Lanius's arrival. We've also got a unique helmet for his second in command and a unique mask for one of our Centaurians. But besides that, not a whole lot of Legion rank armor. We have added some Legion logistics armor, which is a poorly made toga made out of a shower curtain. Those are for the like accountants and bookkeepers and all the people that keep the logistics of the Legion going. But when it comes to the military armor, we haven't actually added too much.
Shameless plug here. If you want some more Legion armors, you should download our another Legion armor, whatever the fuck I named it. Alas,
Absolutely.
go download that. It adds like 6 Legion armors. They're integrated. Blah 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 blah.
One LARP and LARPs by Vladik are also very good ones.
Original name 610 asks, any favorite NPC from the mod?
Yeah, we've got a traveling snake oil salesman who is very fun. Um, I don't know if we are going to go ahead with it, but one of our developers, one of our writers, she was adding tarot card readings to him. So you could, and I believe it was a randomized horoscope or a randomized tarot card reading that he would read out to you. And those were really fun to read through. So I really hope that we implement that if we haven't already. I haven't spoken to that NPC in a little bit. He's pretty great. The New Vegas reporter is pretty cool. We tried to expand a little bit on the lore of Radio New Vegas. Um, We've also got a hidden settlement that I won't go too much into, but there's some pretty cool characters in there, and yeah, lots of cool characters. We've got some racist ghouls; they're pretty cool.
Hmm. Racism in a Fallout mod?
Yeah, well,
More likely than you think.
they take smooth skin slurs to another level.
Paris asks, would you say I can't read. Nova Arizona plays like a World of Pain?
I'm not too familiar with World of Pain. It's just a dungeon mod, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a dungeon mod.
Yeah.
With
Um,
unbalanced
I would
dungeons.
say it does play similar to a World of Pain in that the world space is essentially just a playground for you to do more of the same that you do in the base game. We've got tons of dungeons. None of them are copy paste. All of them are kind of bespokely designed and have their own themes and are independently what's the word I'm looking for? Detailed, So if that's what you're looking for, absolutely Nova Arizona plays like that. But we do have some quests and we do have lore and things you can hopefully deep dive into if you really want to. But I definitely don't think anybody would be upset if they played it like World of Pain.
Our final question for the segment is MattPat3000 asks, can we get a Sonora Cactus alt for the final update?
I would love that. There is a single Sonoran cactus still, or a Seguro cactus still in the mod. That's in the original Fallout Wild Wasteland encounter. But maybe I'll release my own uh, cut of the mod with the cacti renewed.
Uh, I lied. Postman6 asks, what are the new factions?
Uh, so for factions, we've opted to do more so expanding on existing casts or sections of the Legion Society. So we have the Frumentari, of course, they have their own base. The army has their own bases in Malpai and at the base camp at the fort. And we've also expanded on the Cult of Mars. They've got a couple of different shrines, and then they've got a headquarters in the town of Dolan Springs. And they're all kind of fleshing out different aspects of the Legion that aren't present in the base game. Most of our additional factions are kind of expanded on in our external lore. So we've got some travelers coming from factions that don't necessarily exist in the world space, but do occasionally have to travel through it. So I touched on the reservation ghouls in the past. Those are the racist ghouls that I referred to earlier. They're an adaptation of Van Buren lore, the reservation, which is Area 51. It's heavily radiated, and they kind of have developed their own ghoul supremacist movement there under a doctor who is rumored to have created born ghouls. We don't really expand on what exactly a born ghoul is in Nova Arizona, but it is a term that we drop. We've also introduced a faction called the what's it called? The First Nations Confederacy. So that is a outcropping of existing tribal entities that exist in the region pre-war. Places, people like the Dene and the Hopi. And they're kind of a Legion client state that exist in the historical territories of those tribes, just outside of Legion territory on the northern side of the Colorado, on the other side of the Grand Canyon. And there are some references to them. There are some legionaries who were previously part of the tribes from that confederacy that were absorbed by the Legion. We've also got who else? The Rusty Hooks. That's another adaptation of Van Buren lore. They're a raider gang that has been absorbed into the Legion and are doing essentially the shit jobs that the Legion doesn't want to do or doesn't want to waste the resources on. So things like tracking down escaped slaves, digging ditches, scavenging things from pre-war ruins. They're a faction that you can do some quests for and influence their relationship with the Legion. And then I guess you could call our merchants a legion in and of themselves. Our merchants all kind of work independently from the Legion, but there is some nuances there about how you can influence their relationship with the Legion, or how the Legion treats them, rather, as well. So yeah, we've tried to expand a lot on the external lore, but when it comes to factions in the same sense that New Vegas has them, it's mostly just different aspects of the Legion.
Alrighty. Sergio Booth asks, any advice for people who want to create a huge world space for Fallout New Vegas? Short answer, don't. Uh,
Yeah, use Google Maps. um, Use Google Maps and learn to or reach out to someone who knows how to create a height map based off of geographic data, and go into Google Maps and just go ham. That's basically what we did for Nova Arizona, outside of the initial regions that I designed. which are very much not on Google Maps. Most of those were kind of compromises because the geographic um, the landscape in New Vegas is not necessarily one to one with what's there in real life. Like for instance, the banks to the Colorado are basically sheer in New Vegas, whereas they're very gradual in real life. So we had to make some compromises there, but the rest of our lands, like the two towns that we feature in the mod, Dolan Springs and Chloride, are basically direct adaptations of the real life towns in Arizona, and it's pretty easy when you get into it. A lot of the assets that exist in New Vegas correspond to flora, fauna, and rock formations that exist in real life, and so it's pretty easy to recreate many American regions with what you have there in the GEC. It's just a matter of sitting down and doing it, and trying to be considerate with where you put your models down.
Right.
Sorry, that was not a short answer at all.
Final question from Ahab, and then I have one or two more, and then we're done. Uh,
Sure.
After Nova, Arizona, what do you want to do? From Ahab.
Sleep.
Sleep.
Uh, go go back to the gym more. Um, get on with my life. I never really intended Nova, Arizona to take up the amount of time it has. I'm very grateful that it's kind of bloomed into this really great. I kind of view it more as a collaborative art project than just a regular mod at this point. I think it's a good space for people to bounce around ideas in the New Vegas universe or New Vegas setting. Um, but honestly, I think I'll probably just take up some different creative endeavors. I'm trying to get into painting a little bit more, so I'll probably focus on painting after I'm done over Arizona.
From modder to artist, the pipeline is real. My last couple questions here. What is your favorite mod that's not yours?
I've been preparing for this question. I've listened to your show. I have two. My probably my favorite my two my two favorite mods work in combination, and they actively make the gameplay of New Vegas worse. I don't know how familiar you are with these mods. You might be familiar with one. It's one of the many ballistics mods that exists out there, which just basically changes the firearms from hit scan to projectile based.
Oh yeah.
Um, I just prefer that type of gunplay when it comes to games.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like I don't really play a lot of games much anymore. Mostly just fighting games, things that I can fit in like 15, 20 minutes or so. But the first person shooter games that I do play are much more simulation focused these days. So things like Squad, Arma, Rising Storm, and for single player games, things like Stalker. And the gunplay in those I find is much more satisfying. I like leading targets. I like having to deal with arches and stuff like that. And the probably my favorite mod in combination with the ballistics mod is Deus Ex aiming.
I do use that actually.
You use that. Okay, wow, that's great. I think that mod is a stroke of genius. And I think, despite it making the early game gunplay significantly worse, I think it adds to the gradual ramp up of leveling up in New Vegas really, really well. And if you don't care about missing shots, and you like the tension of whether or not you're going to get through an actual combat encounter, I think it's really great.
Oh yeah. The early game is so funny because you just can't shoot for shit.
Yeah, you'll be point blank and
You miss
just completely miss a guy,
XCOM
and it makes
100%.
sense. And it's true to the experience of the original Fallout games too, because in those you would just be swinging at a person and missing constantly. Um, so yeah, I think if people haven't tried those two out together, I think it's definitely worth a play session at the very least to see how they feel.
What's your least favorite mod? What mod do you just hate?
Um, I don't really hate many mods. I find that, and I feel bad because I know you've gotten a couple like model and texture replacement modders on the show before, and absolutely no shade to any of their work. I think it's great, but myself personally, I have a very hard time installing model updating mods, even animation mods that don't cover literally every single item or weapon, which thankfully we have now. But I have an eye that gets very frustrated when I notice disparities in the quality of things, and there is some quality disparity in the existing vanilla assets, but with some of the model replacements on the Nexus, it's like crazy how different they can be, and when they stand out like that, it can get. I tend to not like it, so I tend to play pretty free of those.
Yeah, I can get behind some of that. I
Yeah, Deus Ex Spread I have. That's the mod.
Great mod.
Yeah, great mod.
Alrighty. Who else would you like to see on the Arc C Harger show?
Well, I mean, it depends. Are you interested in branching the show out to cover more modding in general, or are you looking to stay in the New Vegas scene for the most part?
I kind of this show's kind of me doing whatever the hell I want. So,
Fair
uh,
enough.
I'm open to moving on to different things. If there's people want to talk about Pokemon, I could do Pokemon. You mentioned fighting games. I do like me some good fighting games.
Are you in the Pokemon modding scene much at all?
I'm not. I've tried my hand at making ROM hacks before. It's very fucking fiddly.
I did some art once upon the time that never got. I don't think it ever got turned into pixel art. But if you're familiar with the ROM hack Pokemon Sage,
I have heard
which
of it before.
yeah, I briefly was involved in the Discord server there, but that's a cool one. I don't think it's ever coming out, but South American Pokemon is sick. So
Oh yeah, it definitely is. A new Pokemon ROM just dropped last night. Actually, I'm gonna start playing today after the show. Pokemon Lazarus.
oh, I'm not familiar.
It's basically a Gen 3 ROM hack done in the Gen 2 art style.
Neat.
It's a new,
I like the art style mods that the ROM hacks do.
it's like a new region. I haven't been following it closely enough to comment on it. I just followed it because I wanted to play it because they made Emerald Sea Glass and that was really fun. Um,
That's I'll have to check it out. I'm not a huge Pokemon fan. The last one I played was X when that came out,
oh,
and I kind of dropped that maybe 30% through because I wasn't enjoying it much at all. But I have a lot of appreciation for ROM hacks because they really try to either polish the formula down to like a mere sheen, or they go way out there with trying out really interesting features and novel concepts and stuff. And I think the franchise is really missing that kind of innovation.
yeah, from someone who played the new Digimon game here recently. Yeah, Pokemon's kind of lacking in innovation.
But I guess I'll answer your question finally and let you leave.
I want to go take a nap.
um, I would be interested to hear from some guy. Um, I would be interested to hear from, and I would be interested to hear from um, some alumni from the Frontier. I think that there's a lot of interesting stories that can be told from that dev, and I think that unfortunately there is a lot of you know commentary made on that mod that misses a lot of the very good work that was done on it and is being done on the rework. And I wish we could highlight those stories more than the couple of controversies that seem to be brought up every 2 months or so. Um, the new California devs, I think, would be cool. I don't know if they're even active in the scene
Uh,
anymore. I know that mod is ancient, but it'd be cool to hear their story. Um, and outside of that, I think it'd be interesting to hear from Fallout 4 modders and hear what their opinions on the anniversary edition are, and what their take on the state of modding in general is, because I think that game is very much at the center of what
modding as a hobby and potentially profit making industry. Uh, I think that's kind of the testing ground for what it will become. And so those people are kind of at the ground zero. So it'd be interesting to hear what they think about what's going on there.
I do have some good news. I have asked some Fallout 4 modders to be on the show, so look forward to
Cool.
some of those episodes coming out. Anyway, I appreciate your time today. Be Normal says fuck paid mods. We talked a little bit
Yeah.
about that. Watch the VOD. Wall, if you want to be on here, just send me a message. We get Wall up here talking to a wall for 2 hours.
Am I your longest episode yet?
I think yeah, pretty much yeah. I
An
think
hour 40? Yeah.
I think yeah. I have an hour, yeah, hour 40. You're like longer than ZL by like 3 minutes.
Nice.
Uh,
Well, we just gotta keep increasing the Overton window of your podcast and make it 3, 4, 5, 6 hours long.
keep interrupting Arksy Harger's nap time. Yeah,
Yeah, you need multi-parters.
multi-part episodes. All right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well,
Well, thank you very much. I think this show is great. I think what you're doing is really cool. And keep highlighting voices in the scene and other modding scenes because I think it's really important to hear from them.
absolutely. That's why we're doing it. That's the mission of the Arksy Harger show. That and subscribe to my channel. Kofi in bio. But yeah, thank you for coming on. Thank you, my lovely audience, as always. Now go do something else, you bunch of fucking losers. I'm gonna go take a nap.
Enjoy your night. Take care.
Have a good day, guys.